Hello and welcome back to the channel where I provide regular cricket content on interesting topics. In today's video I dive into the back catalogue of one of cricket's most interesting characters, Andrew Flintoff. Flintoff, or Freddie as he is affectionately known, was just as memorable off the pitch as he was on. Just reading through some of the stories online about him had me laughing. So without further delay, here is my countdown of Andrew Flintoff's 5 maddest moments. Number 5, Aussie Mind Games. During the middle of a test match in the 2005 Ashes series, Flintoff went out for a few drinks and food. The next morning he woke up with a headache and a plan to play with the Aussies' minds. Uncharacteristically of Flintoff, he arrived at the ground first out of either sets of players. He did so specifically to start his mental warfare. He waited near to where the Australian coach would park and deliberately lit a cigarette and leant against the wall in a relaxed manner. He greeted all the Aussies in a causal way, saying things like, "All right Shane," despite not really knowing them. He let all of the Aussies get to their dressing room, then waited just outside, on their way down to the pitch. He lit up another cigarette and casually acknowledged them again, all as they ran past him to go and warm up. Now with both sides on the ground, he slowly trudged to the middle. Instead of warming up with the England players, he walked over to the Aussie bowlers who were bowling to Gilchrist. "Mind if I join in for a bit?" he asked to puzzled Glenn McGrath. After a pause, McGrath answered, "What?" Freddie confirmed by saying, "You don't mind, do you? Can I just bowl with you?" The Aussies, to their bemused credit, agreed. Flintoff then, still aching from yesterday's play and feeling the effect of too much wine, marked out his run. Feeling stiff as a board, he steamed in and bowled one delivery as quick as he could, fizzing it through to Gilchrist with shoulder-high carry. Flintoff then said, "Cheers Adam, I'm good, see you in a bit," and went to walk off. An even more confused McGrath stopped Freddie and asked him, "Don't you get stiff?" Flintoff replied, "I don't know what you mean mate," before heading back to the changing room. Flintoff later went out and took 5 wickets, helping to bowl the Aussies out cheaply. Number 4, Iced Water. After being struck in the box by Hampshire's Cardigan Connor, Flintoff has to retire to the dressing room in agony, where the coach David Lloyd has a plan for the bruised testicles. Lloyd produces a pint of iced water to Flintoff and instructed him to dangle his balls inside. Flintoff obliges, leaving his bruised private parts soaking for around 5 minutes. Shortly after, Gary Yates appears in the dressing room gasping for a drink. He asks Flintoff, "This your pint?" He asks Flintoff, who nods quietly. None the wiser, Yates downs the iced water, at which point everyone erupts. Number 3, When You've Got to Go. Flintoff had been hounded about his weight at the start of his career and as such was open to all kinds of ways of shifting fat. He and Darren Gough, who was of a similar build, decided they were going to try a weight loss drug Xenical together. Now Xenical works by trying to force its users to eat a healthy diet as it breaks down the fat in your food and it comes out the other end. Now Freddie thought it meant he could eat whatever he wanted, and before a one-day international at Lord's he went out for a big curry. That was followed by a full English breakfast the morning of the match. Freddie later explained that the medication makes it hard to distinguish between a fart and when you need to poo. So the game starts and Flintoff is batting at 5. A couple of quick wickets fall and Flintoff attempts to break wind whilst being the next batsman in. What he thought was a fart turned into a mountain of diarrhea and Flintoff realized he had shit himself. Whilst watching anxiously out of the window, he had to strip down, naked, and sit in a sink to wash his ass. Flintoff then had to pray to the gods that Alex Stewart didn't get out, as it would have left him being the only player in history to be timed out for shitting himself. Number 2, There's a New Boss in Town. After the historic win in Ashes 2005, the English team went on to celebrate the win at the Prime Minister's residence. Flintoff revealed that the function was in the garden, and he went into the house looking for a toilet, and he then reached the cabinet room where all the meetings used to happen. Flintoff then told that he had a beer in his hand, and he sat on the seat of the Prime Minister with his feet on the table. The security guard then caught him in the act. He even revealed that he urinated on the table. In his own words, Flintoff said, "We had a function in the garden. I went into the house looking for a toilet but then started wandering around the house. I found the cabinet room, where all the meetings are. So I had a bottle of beer in my hand and I was sat in the Prime Minister's chair with my feet on the table, slurping beer and holding a meeting. The security guard came in and said, 'All right Freddie, you've had your fun, now fuck off.'" Former Australian cricketer Merv Hughes was also with Flintoff, and he said that Flintoff was even madder than he thought. Number 1, The Pedalo. This story has been well told by the press, but it still is worth its place in England cricket history. In 2007, Freddie was the captain of the England one-day international team playing in the World Cup in the West Indies. The night before a group game, Freddie and others decided to go out for some drinks. 1 became 2, 2 became 4, and before they knew it they were plastered. As they went to walk back to the hotel, Flintoff noticed a posh boat out at sea and he believed it was Ian Botham's. So Freddie has the masterful idea of somehow getting out to sea in order to board the boat and have a drink with the England legend. Flintoff searches the beach, initially thinking of a kayak but decides upon a pedalo. Feeling brave, he pushes the craft off into the water and starts to power it towards what he thought was Beefy's boat. What then took place is, in Flintoff's words, a bit of a blur, with him next remembering being woken up in bed by England management, with sand in his bed. What actually happened was that Flintoff had to be rescued after coming close to capsizing the pedalo. He was sacked from the captaincy and England went on and crashed out of the tournament. So there you have it. Feel free to give any other examples in the comments. My personal take is that although Flintoff was flawed, he was one of the game's true characters and he made the game more fun for it. Thanks for watching, everyone.